Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for a new live stream to discuss about the latest AC Milan news and rumors. As usual, guys, don't forget to leave your comments regarding these news in the comments section, as I will be reading them towards the end of the live stream. I'll be answering your questions concerning the latest transfer news and rumors so I could give you live feedback. Now, of course, today the main topic of discussion is Jose Sosa, because it seems to be that Jose Sosa to Milan is now a done deal. The Rossoneri have acquired the 31-year-old midfielder for a reported transfer fee of 7.5 million euros from Besiktas. And it seems to be that, many of you probably know this, but we're already after Bentancur, and it just seemed like the deal fell apart. I'll be speaking about him very soon, but getting back to Jose Sosa, 7.5 million euros invested on a 31-year-old. I know a lot of people are probably very mad about this. As many of you probably think that he's not a player of quality that could change many things at Milan, but a lot of people have been giving him praise. They said that he's going to surprise many people and he's going to do good at Milan and he's going to give that shift in quality. I think that he could do well. I'm not quite sure how fast he could adapt to the Serie A, how fast he could integrate in Milan. We all know that many players have arrived at the club and have left the club throughout these past years, and many of them haven't found any bright moments in this team. So obviously it's a challenge for all these players coming in, like Jose Sosa, a challenge that won't be easy whatsoever. There's always the media, the fans criticizing you. It's never an easy task coming in as a new player at Milan, no matter what your name is, because the expectations are always pretty high. Now, he's expected to arrive in Milan tomorrow to undergo his medicals, and he will be signing a 2-year contract with Milan. Last season, he scored 9 goals and provided 14 assists with Besiktas, but he also wanted to leave the club as he felt that Turkey as a country wasn't a safe place for his family. And that is possibly the biggest motive as to why he wanted to leave Besiktas and why he felt that Turkey wasn't the safe place for him and his family anymore. And that is why he wanted to come to Italy and enjoy this new experience. And now he has the opportunity to do very well at Milan. So hopefully we see very good things from him. Once again, he's a midfielder that could play in different roles. So quite versatile, if I must say. Now, this signing, of course, means that Milan have now lost their last non-European spot that they had available, and therefore Bentancur and Cuadrado cannot arrive anymore. Now, many people are probably thinking, why didn't we just save that money and possibly spend a portion of it on Cuadrado? We could have paid maybe the rest in January or something with that kind of option. This was obviously an option, but Milan didn't want to negotiate any longer. They need players as soon as possible, and we all know that if Milan kept pursuing Cuadrado, this could have easily taken up until the end of the month to see if anything was meant to be, because obviously they had to talk to Chelsea. It's not like they had the money right in front of their eyes and that Chelsea could just say yes right away. So obviously it was going to be a very complicated scenario for Milan. Therefore, they went for the option of Jose Sosa, a player that has been linked to Milan for quite a while now. I remember back in July, we already made a few videos concerning Jose Sosa, saying that Milan was interested, that the meetings were started, and that finally he will now become a Milan player. Now, speaking of Bentancur, like I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, many of you are probably thinking why Bentancur wasn't signed after all. It seemed like it was a done deal, but at the end, it was not, because Milan had offered 15 million euros to Boca Juniors for the player, but Boca Juniors rejected this offer. Now, many people are thinking that Milan didn't want to continue pushing for him. They didn't want to wait until Boca Juniors gave their answer. The whole deadline thing that I spoke about a few days ago, where Milan had set a deadline saying that if Boca Juniors don't answer by this deadline, we won't care anymore. Well, what actually happened, according to Bentancur's agent, is that Milan actually made a formal offer, but this offer was rejected by Boca Juniors. Now, yesterday or a few days ago, I read that the Boca Juniors vice president said that Milan had never sent a formal offer. It was informal, meaning that they had just mentioned it, but it wasn't anything official. But his agent just confirmed that it was an official offer. But pretty much Boca Juniors were making excuses not to let this deal happen. And we all know why. At the end of the day, Boca Juniors didn't let it happen because, of course, it was the influence of Juventus in this deal. For those of you who still don't know the scenario with Bentancur, pretty much Juventus have the right to get the player before Milan because it was part of the deal when they sold Tevez that they were able to buy these talents, I think 2 or 3 names, and Bentancur was between these 3 talents in which they could have made an offer for, and if they had matched that offer, Boca Juniors will let him go. Pretty much, Juventus didn't want Milan to get this guy, and Boca Juniors kind of obeyed Juventus for some reason, I guess because they have some good relationships, and therefore, at the end of the day, this deal pretty much collapsed. That is the scenario, the situation behind the Bentancur deal, why it didn't occur. Now you guys know why pretty much it didn't happen. Now, speaking about some more official news, Matri to Sassuolo is finally official. Sassuolo have signed him on a permanent deal, and that means that we won't hear of Matri ever again. He won't be coming back after a loan spell because there is no loan spell. This is a permanent deal. Sassuolo have bought Matri. We still don't know anything about the transfer fee or in terms of length of contract or transfer fee in which Sassuolo have actually paid Milan to acquire Matri. But what we do know is that once again, he has joined Sassuolo. There's even the picture of him with the Sassuolo president, I believe. So everything is official. Matri is a Sassuolo player. The player was also linked previously to Spanish clubs as well as Bologna. But finally, we won't have to hear about Matri anymore. And like I said, it was pretty much inevitable. He had to leave at all costs because he simply wasn't getting much playing time, or if any playing time whatsoever at Milan this season. Now, I want to speak about Bacca before I get into your questions, and I'll also speak about El Ghazi for those of you who are wondering. Now, speaking about Bacca, there is a report from a Spanish source saying that Valencia could potentially go after Carlos Bacca if they sell Paco Alcacer to Barcelona. Now, once again, this whole dilemma with Bacca, will he stay, will he leave? We simply won't know until the end of the transfer market. Still about 2 weeks remaining, and technically speaking, anything could happen to Bacca. You probably saw in these preseason games that he still hasn't found his groove in Montela's new system. And many people are saying that, he simply won't adapt to a system and he won't be of any he won't be useful to Montella. I think otherwise. I think Bacca could still have a very good season under Montella. I pretty much think, like I said endless times, that he could score easily 20 goals this season. But once again, it seems to be that there's still interest from teams. And with 2 weeks remaining until the end of the transfer window, anything could happen. Bacca could very well leave, and Milan could pocket 30 million or so. Now, if he's set to leave, I would honestly hope that this gets concluded sooner rather than later, for the simple fact that we will still have time to negotiate with other clubs concerning players. Now, European players, that is, because we cannot sign Cuadrado anymore, like I mentioned before, due to the thing that Jose Sosa has taken up the last non-European spot. So for those thinking that we could still get to Cuadrado by selling Baca, that is simply impossible and it won't happen. What we could go for is other players, maybe Italian players, players that are playing in the Serie A or in Europe in general that have an European passport. And essentially, we could go after these players and potentially sign them. But everything remains to be seen. Now, finally, I want to speak about El Ghazi because his agent contacted Milan last night and offered them the player. Now, Milan haven't yet answered his agent regarding a possible interest, of course, in, so forth. It might be that the new investors, the managers, and so forth are not interested in this player because this was a player that was linked to us back in January of last year, when Berlusconi, Galliani, and everyone was still under the board. So this could obviously be different now. It might be a player that the Chinese are simply not interested in. So Milan are still to give an answer to El Ghazi's agent concerning a possible interest, but of course it could become a possibility now. Now El Ghazi scored 11 goals and added 3 assists in all competitions last season with Ajax, and I'm not sure if this is true, but Transfer Market values him at 7 million euros. Now El Ghazi, I do believe he has an European passport. Let me check that out for you guys. Well, yeah, he's of course, he has a Dutch passport. He's a Dutch nationality. Therefore, this will be a possible signing for Milan. Therefore, I think that if this is true, what Transfer Market is saying, that he's valued at 7 million euros, technically we still have 7.5 million euros plus what we got from Matuidi, which at the moment is unknown. I think we could still have some space with that money to sign El Ghazi. So if we do, that will be great because he's a great right winger. I think he could do very good things for Milan. And he's a technical player. He's a young player that could do very well. And hopefully, we get to him. That will be really good if we do get to him. But now it's time to read your comments and questions, guys. I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of questions regarding today's news, so make sure to send them in. Something kind of changed for YouTube and their live stream, so I'm gonna have to pull that up, guys, so just give me a moment. But send in those questions. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have questions regarding these news, this official news concerning Jose Sosa and so forth. So I'm gonna start by reading some over here. Just give me a second. Also, tell me what you guys think about El Ghazi. Will he be a good player to sign or not? Do you think Milan will get top 5? I do believe that Milan will finally get top 5. I think that once again, with these players coming in, it's improvements over other players. It's not the best players that we could potentially get, but I do believe that we could obviously get these players and get a better position in general. Maybe not Champions League just yet, but I think that we could obviously reach those Europa League positions. Maybe in January we could make further investments that could obviously make us better throughout the season, through the rest of the season. But at the moment, I think 5th, maybe 6th is a realistic position for this Milan team. How do I feel about Sosa? Once again, I think that Jose Sosa is a definite. He's a player that could do well. Okay, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be a certainty for this Milan team because he's definitely not. But I think that it's definitely an improvement in the midfield. I think that he could do very well. Once again, he's a playmaker, so I think we needed a guy like this, a playmaker like him. Hopefully, he will do good and provide many assists to our forwards. AC Milanov says, "Do you think we can keep a manager for longer than 6 months?" That hasn't been the case as of the last few years, but I do believe that Montella is the right man. I think he will be staying at Milan for a while. The Chinese won't think about firing him right away. I'm pretty sure of that. But anything is possible with Milan, so hopefully that won't be the case for Montella. There's a comment here regarding Jose Sosa and Bentancur. They say, I prefer Jose instead of Bentancur. I don't think that 19-year-old can make an immediate impact. Jose has good experience, and obviously he's better than Montolivo. Caleb says, do you think Lapadula may be starting over Baca this season? Once again, I mentioned it a few days ago. It all depends on how players actually show up. Not only to the games, but also to the trainings. As a manager, they always have the duty of seeing who's capable of starting in terms of what effort and how they fit their system. So if Lapadula, a player that was obviously requested by Montella, could do better than Baca in terms of coming on, even if he doesn't start and scoring goals, then who knows? Maybe he could replace Baca in the long run. El Ghazi could be good, but I don't see how much he can contribute. El Ghazi's he's always a decent player and can get better really quickly, don't you think? Once again, he's young, so I think that if Milan has a project and they want to build him up, they want to improve him, why not? That is my case. Maybe he's decent at the moment, but he's still very young. So if we could get him, we could improve him. Who knows? We could honestly have a very good deal here if we pick him up. Do I think that Milan is stronger than last year? This is a big question. I think the biggest strength that Milan has at the moment is that they sold the club and that we finally have funds to invest, because that is the most important thing. I think we are stronger. We brought in Lapadula, that is a very good striker. At least that's what he's shown in the Serie B. We got Suso coming back from loan. We got other players that could do very well. And defense, we got Gustavo Gomez. I think he could have a definite impact at Milan. In the midfield now with Jose Sosa, I think that's an improvement. So I think we have a pretty decent team. We also have Luis Adriano on the bench that could come on at any moment. So it's not like we lost too many players, but I think that we could do very well. And I think this team could be potentially stronger than last year's. Are we still linked to Mangala with loan and obligation to buy? Now, this was a rumor that I mentioned a few days ago where Milan was apparently linked to Mangala, but there haven't been any updates. There is a new update that I want to share with you guys. Just came in here by Sky Sports. They're saying that AC Milan are also tracking Manchester City midfielder Fernando after Fiorentina interest. Now I'm going to be reading you this little article that they wrote. They say that the move will only be made if the Viola lost Milan Badé or Borja Valero before the transfer deadline day, as Milan and Roma have been heavily linked with this player. So I think it's more a player that Fiorentina is trying to target, not really Milan here. They're also trying to target him, but I think it's more Fiorentina than anything else. And it seems that if Fiorentina actually go after Fernando, maybe they could let Badé leave. So this is very interesting, very curious to see what will happen and how the developments will keep going in the next few days concerning this story. Thoughts on Montolivo? Well, I think we all know my opinion on that. We mentioned it even in the season preview yesterday. By the way, if you guys haven't watched that yet, check out the season preview. It is posted on the channel. We uploaded it yesterday. Very interesting video. I met up with Adamo to do that. It was our first video together. So if you haven't watched that yet, please do so after this live stream. There's also other players that Milan could potentially go after. The next name is Amadou Diawara, another player that was linked to Milan in the past. I believe this player was linked in our winter transfer window last year. So we'll see what happens with that. But Diawara will be a very good signing. I think he was linked more to Roma, if I'm not mistaken, over the past few weeks. But yeah, Diawara will be a very good signing if we could get him. David says, I guess that this first month is about 5th to 6th and wait for winter transfer window so we can make sure that we are going to the Champions League. Once again, very good point there, because I believe that if we do contain and maintain a 5th place position or better, then that will be great, because by the winter time we should be making these signings. Obviously, nothing is set in stone saying that, yes, we are for sure buying this. So I think if we can maintain a 5th place or higher, chances are we can do very well and potentially. But that all remains to be seen on how we approach many games. So I'm going to be reading a few more questions, guys, before I sign off. So keep sending them in. I'll be on for the next few minutes. FIA Creativity said Zaniolato and Locatelli should get some minutes. I believe that is right. I think Locatelli will definitely get more playing time altogether, and Zaniolato should too, after what he's shown in the preseason. So we'll see what happens with that. I think that those two players definitely deserve a chance to showcase in some of Milan's matches this season. Super Kaka says, do you think that our squad is strong enough to go for the last Champions League spot if we can avoid any injuries? At the moment, I don't think so. There's teams that are way better than us, even without any injuries to Milan. I think that Napoli, Roma, potentially even Inter are better than us. And of course, I can't speak about Juventus because they're on another planet at the moment. Has the captain for the season been chosen yet, or will Monto retain it again? Of course, it will be Montolivo again. Who do you think Sosa will most likely replace? I'm not sure if he's going to replace initially in the starting 11, but he could definitely play in different positions. So, whoever is not fit that day, or if Jose Sosa is showing great form, I think he could replace anyone on that field. But as for the beginning, I'm not sure if he's going to get a starting position. Vanjoni, he's still injured, I believe. I don't think he's going to be able to play in the opening fixture this Sunday. Ricky says, when will AC Milan be able to spend big again? That will be in January in the transfer window. 100 million euros are expected to be spent in that window. Some questions, guys, I've already answered. I see a lot of repetitive questions. So if I'm not answering your questions, it's because I've already read them once. I've already answered them. So don't feel offended if I don't answer your questions, but I've already read them and I've already answered them in the past. Do I think that Milan should sell De Sciglio? Once again, if the right offer arrives, then why not? But for example, Napoli offered only 15 million for De Sciglio last week or so, or 10 days ago, and Milan said no chance in hell, we're going to leave him for 15 million. So once again, if the right offer arrives, 25 million, then why not? But less than that, I wouldn't sell him. Lil B says, what is the area you want a signing to happen? Defense, mid, or forward? I will want a signing to be made in defense because, once again, Gustavo Gomez He's a good signing. I think he could complement Romagnoli very well, but it's not a certainty. He's not a player that I could say he's going to do very well at Milan or not. It all depends on how he shows up to games and how quickly he could adapt and integrate with Milan. Should we sell Luis Adriano? I personally wouldn't sell him. I think he has a lot to offer still. I think he could do well. Once again, coming off the bench, I think he could do well. So, no, I would not sell Luis Adriano. Do I think Milan will beat Mialovic's Torino? I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to leave it until the match preview. I don't want to give too many of my thoughts right away. So, make sure to watch that video. I'll be answering that question in that. Do I like Sosa? I don't know him personally, so I don't like him. No, but honestly, in all seriousness, I haven't watched much of him, but from what I'm looking at the stats and people saying that he's actually a decent player that could do well, I think that Sosa could do well. So I still don't know him very well, so we're going to have to see if I like him or not. Do I think we need wingers? Honestly speaking, I like Suso and Yang. If we get El Ghazi, that would be great. But speaking of wingers, I think we're okay. We're decent. We're not the best, but we're okay. I'm going to read one more question, guys, because there's way too many. I've already answered about Diego Simeone's words on Sosa. I said that he says that he can be a very good player for Milan. Therefore, yeah, I did answer that already. Onda should leave. He has no future. Yes, it seems that Onda should be leaving either this summer or winter. What new signing am I most excited to see and why? Now, that's a good question. I like questions like that. Definitely Lapadula, I have to say. The reason to this is because I've watched him a few times with Pescara last season, but I'm curious to see how he could do and what he could do with Milan now that he's in the Serie A, how he could adapt to the team and how many goals he could score in reality. So if I have to choose one of our transfers, the ones that we signed so far, if I have to choose one between those, I'm definitely most excited about Lapadula. And I hope that he could definitely prove to the rest of Italy that he's capable of coming up to the Serie A, making that shift in the best possible way possible. So, yeah, that will wrap it up, guys, for this live stream. Sorry if I didn't answer some of your questions, but there's obviously the opportunity to do this every day. I'll be making daily live streams. So if I didn't answer your questions, make sure to come back tomorrow and hopefully I'll be answering that one. So once again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan on a daily basis. And I'll catch you guys later for another video. This has been Gio signing off. And as always, Forza Milan.